Tell you what, just say what you just said to me now and then just run my ass over.
Before the really? Nah, I don't want to get bit. Fuck off.
Little does he know, that's gonna be my bit. Hey guys, I Saw Bear here, and today I'll be talking about the update 0.17 for the game Foxhole. This update is being called the Industries of War update, and there's a very good reason for that. Alright, I'm gonna do this update quite differently from how I normally do it. I honestly believe this is going to be a much easier way for people to learn of all the new things in this update. So let's just roll with it. First off, let's start off with some terms we need to define. The first two are structures and facilities. Structures are the buildings in the game. They're the world structures we've all come to know and love. Town halls, forward operating bases, factories, refineries, that kind of thing. Facilities are not buildings. Facilities are upgrades for individual buildings, each building having its own facilities. I'm not talking about all of the refineries on a map or all of the factories on a map. I'm talking about each individual building. All of them have facilities. Upgrading these facilities within each building allows you to use that building in a different way. I'll discuss these in a little greater depth when I get to each individual building as best I can. But let's set up a scenario here. Let's say your team wants to build some weapons. What do you need to do in order to do that? Well, first of all, you have to research the weapon. Second of all, you need to gather and refine the materials needed to build the weapon. And then you need to take those materials to a factory to actually build that weapon. Alright, pretty easy. Let's start off with the research. First, you want to go to your scrap mines. Start scrapping and start gathering tech parts. Now with these tech parts, you'll want to take them to the refineries first. These tech parts are not yet ready to be used, so you take them to the refinery. The refinery, by the way, is where you'll do any refinement process of any raw resource you find in the world now. Doesn't matter if it's basic materials, refined materials, explosive materials, upgrade parts, or research parts. This is where you take them. Alright, so now we need the research parts in order to actually research our weapon. Keep in mind, the upgrade parts and research parts both take technology parts, so make sure you're selecting the right one. Alright, we've got our research parts now. Now we head over to the tech center, and we put those research parts to use and research the weapons we're looking for. Okay, we've got the weapons we're looking for. Now we just have to gather materials and build them, right? Wrong! First off, we have to make sure our production facilities, that is to say, the factories, actually have the right facilities to build these weapons that we're looking for. So let's go to our factory now. You'll see that our factory has 5 upgradable facilities within it. You've got one for the small arms, one for the heavier weapons, one for support tools, one for medical supplies, and one for soldier and garrison supplies. Each of these facilities needs to be upgraded individually. You'll also notice the earlier facilities will cost less to upgrade, while the later facilities cost more to upgrade. This means that if you are securing facilities on the front lines, you really have to make the decision, what do your troops need more? Are you more pressed for weapons and ammo? Or do you have lots of wounded that are coming back from the front lines? And do you need a first aid station? These are decisions your team is going to have to make, so choose wisely. Your first facilities should be necessities, but your later facilities can really be considered as luxuries. Alright, so let's just say you've got all the facilities you need upgraded. Perfect. Now we can get our resources and get to work. Going back to the scrap fields, gathering our resources, and we're taking them to the refinery. Okay, we refine our resources. Keep in mind, this applies to both the factory and refinery, but each facility allows you to complete a different order. So you can be producing, let's say, a set of small arms for an order at the same time that you're producing medical supplies, as long as you have both of those facilities functional at the time. Okay, we've got our BMATs. Now we take them from the refinery over to the factory. Now we're placing our order for our weapons. Excellent. While we wait for our order to complete, in case you haven't noticed, the UI has seen a massive upgrade. All inventories needed on screen are displayed on screen. Compass, ammo, and stamina have been shoved to the sides to allow for better visibility, and just a whole slew of UI consistencies have been implemented. The devs are pretty confident with this layout. They say it's more efficient, and I'm not one to disagree. However, if you have any problems with it, or find certain areas aren't as efficient as they should be, they ask you to feel free to let them know on the forums. Okay, the order's complete. Now where do we put it? Well, traditionally we'd put it in a town hall or an FOB. That's fine. But let's introduce a new world structure, shall we? This is the storage depot. Look, I know it's called the storage facility, but I'm trying not to confuse you guys. The storage depot acts as a centralized storage area. However, it does not take one-off items. Like, it won't take a rifle. Specifically stores crates to later be shipped out to various forward operating bases, or wherever they're needed, really. So again, this only takes full crates of items, not individual or single items. Okay, once you actually need your weapons on the front lines, then you can take them out of the storage facility in their crates and deliver them to the town halls, FOBs, and wherever else they're needed. And that's that. I hope I've covered everything with the new production side of things, but that's only half the story. Hang in there, guys. We're still going. The next massive change comes to garrison AIs, supplies, and really the whole frontline construction system. It's seen a massive revamp to avoid, well, honestly cheesy tactics and reduces the amount of defense spamming we're going to see in the game. So what do I mean by this? Let's start off with an example. Let's say I want to set up a forward operating base. How do I go about doing this, and how are things going to stay supplied and secured from now on? So we get out there, and we start to build our forward operating base. Pretty straightforward. It just has to be a certain distance away from our other bases. Okay, no problem. Once this forward operating base is built, you'll notice something. There's no longer any garrisons. Forward operating bases, town halls, and the like won't have the garrison mechanic anymore. So like I said earlier, town halls and forward operating bases will now have facilities, much like the refinery or the factory. These facilities are quite different from those ones, however. Facilities in FOBs and town halls help to prevent defensive structures from decaying within their sphere of influence. You have to research these facilities in order to do this. The small garrison facility will prevent structure decay for surrounding defensive structures when garrison supplies exists in the stockpile, consuming 2 per hour per structure once the decay has begun. So yes, this means in order to sustain active defenses, you need to both upgrade forward operating bases with the small or large garrison facility, and then consistently supply them with garrison supplies in order to keep your defensive active. Now we see where this is all starting to fall together. Forward operating bases will have a radius of 80 meters around them, and town bases will have a radius of 150 meters around them. And this is also how you'll be upgrading your operating bases to Tier 2 and Tier 3 by building up their small and then the large garrison facilities. If that wasn't enough risk for you, the last one is really going to make you rethink how you leave defenses all strewn about on the field. Forward operating bases now leave behind a destroyed husk, which retains built facilities and can be reclaimed by the enemy faction. So if your forward operating base goes down, because you guys place it way too far up ahead on the front lines, the enemy's going to take real advantage of that. Additionally, all the town bases can be upgraded to Tier 3 regardless of whether they are or are not victory towns. And while I just gave you guys a lot of complicated news regarding logistics, you'll be happy to know tech parts now have a bad luck protection system, which means the chance for a tech part to drop is now guaranteed over a certain period of time. So no matter how bad your luck is, it's gonna end, sooner or later. And there were also some foliage visibility mechanic changes. Now, players are only hidden in foliage when they are standing inside the foliage still. If they are moving, you can be seen, so try not to brush the wrong branches. As well, when you guys are in town, if you see the medical lab, or essentially what is a church structure, be careful, because now they've been converted into garrison buildings, since all the medical supplies will be found at the factories anyway. Assuming they've had their facilities upgraded, that is. And the decay timer resets incrementally with each repair strike, rather than all at once when the structure is fully repaired. Okay, I think I've covered all the complicated stuff now. Here's a few other things that have been added. Fisherman's Row V2 is now out. Version 2 features a much expanded version of the map, and is redesigned to be a part of World Conquest. It's kind of like a counterbalance to Orebreaker Isles. Now, to be fair, the devs say they've learned a lot from Orebreaker Isles and have made some changes that'll make Fisherman's Row much more accommodating. There's also a special map that's been designed for the Foxhole Competition League events, so sign up now if you want to see it, because I still haven't seen it. Some gameplay balances include pistols and revolvers have a much slower time to stabilize when aiming is invoked. Campsites are no longer available. RIP campsites for the second time in a row. Tunnel networks are also no longer available. Bases now have a fixed large AI radius, so choose your forward operating bases wisely. Outposts are now available in skirmish. The AT rifle damage has increased by 50%. Upgrade parts have been added to supply drops, so these are obtained during the skirmish and will be even more vital for getting a head start in World Conquest. Port bases layouts have been redesigned. Now, they look super simple, and to be fair, they are very simple, but they're meant to be functional. They're definitely not pretty, but if it serves the purpose, then so be it. Forward operating bases without garrison facilities or supplies will now decay at a very slow rate, much like the defenses around them. If they are not supplied, they will not stay active. Storage box item capacity has been reduced from 18 down to 15 slots. All base structure item capacity has been increased from 12 to 15 slots, so there's more room for you. The refinery now requires basic materials to be built instead of just being built from scrap. And the refinery now requires a CV to be built. Tech parts, the same ones that get turned into upgrade and research parts later on, have had some reworks. Tech part now retrieves from stockpiles at faster rates. Tech parts are, however, no longer stackable. Tech part drop rate is increased by 30%, and the tech part drop rate increased by an additional 50% in skirmish mode. The tech tree has also seen a few changes. Scrap and sulfur mines are moved to an earlier location in the tech tree. Scrap mine research part requirement decreased from 800 down to 400. Sulfur mine research part requirement has decreased from 800 down to 400. Metal wall research part requirement increased from 250 to 400. Howitzer research part requirement increased from 200 to 300. And the smoke grenade research part requirement has increased from 200 to 300 as well. Oh, and another change. Friends lists. Yes, you can now add friends in Foxhole. The easiest way to do it is to hold down the Alt key and click on a person in-game. This brings up a list of options that you can do, such as mute or commend them, but there's also a friend option. This gets added to your friends list, and it makes for easier communications. You can whisper to them and start up discussions, that kind of thing. The button to create an operation is now missing if you are currently in an operation. Simply leave your current operation in order to create one. And vehicles moving at slow speeds can no longer be blocked by enemies. Okay, there were some bug fixes in this update. Go read the patch notes if you want those. I've done it enough. I'm out of here. Like, subscribe, stay up to date on all the latest Foxhole updates. You guys know the drill. I'm tired. I'm gonna take a nap. Good luck, keep your heads down, and stay in your foxholes. Bear out. He's dead. It's this guy is surrendering. God damn it, man. Ryder, you're wasting AT ammo on infantry that's surrendering. Come on, man. Jesus Christ.
Hold your fire!
What's wrong with you people?